This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Sean Preston.
Welcome to another episode of the Good Neighbor Podcast. Today we have another good neighbor on with us, and that is Wesley Covey of gandthefew Records. What's going on today, man?
Hey, Sean. How's it going?
Doing pretty good. I was just taking a look at my gorgeous mug there on the intro for those who are on video. And really, I mean, I already knew this, but I'm like, man, you need to chop the lettuce. It's getting a little long. The fiance loves it, but I don't know. You know, if you got long hair, so I don't know if you have this issue. But guys with short hair, it gets too long. It just becomes problematic. I don't know how you do it.
It starts sticking out weird. I know what you mean. I'm getting to that point. I need another cut, but
does it get wet for yours because it's so long? If it gets wet, does it like cover the eyes and then you start walking into shit? Or
yeah, well, it's pretty curly, so it kind of comes back up after it dries. But when it's wet, it does get into your eyes a little bit.
Very cool, man. Well, look, I'm sure our listeners are chomping at the bit. I'm super curious. We were having a little chat pre-show, and then I said, "Okay, hang on a second, hang on. Let's start recording. Let's get into it." So, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about your business?
For sure. Yeah. So I'm a freelance music producer. So what that means is musicians, songwriters will come to me with their songs. They want to record an album or single. I'll help kind of coordinate all of the different parts of that. So I'll facilitate the recording sessions. I'll be in the recording sessions, giving creative input, technical expertise, what mic should we use on the drums, what compressor should we use on different things. So, and then I'll also facilitate all of the post-production. So all the mixing of the songs, the editing, the mastering. So it's kind of just a production manager is almost a better term than music producer. But that's what I do. So I specialize in folk and rock music and been doing it for 3 years and I love it.
I can tell, man, with that awesome smile you got going on. So something you don't know about me or my family, I should say, is my youngest sister is a singer-songwriter. She doesn't do it as much now, just a bit, but she had the big bar scene back in her mid-20s. She's turning 30 this year. And my dad took a pretty big swing at seeing how far she could go with it. And so we ended up recording an album down in Nashville. We had a CD release party down there.
Right on.
My dad took charge on a lot of this. I think he's got an ear for it. And certainly my sister does as well. But it's like one of those things, like my side, like that side of the brain, whichever side it's on, it musically, I'm not inclined. I have a hard time hearing some of the words sometimes. So, when you're talking about, what microphone to use on specific instruments and then making, recommendations and understanding frequencies and how it's all put together, what sounds good. For me, I just don't have it. I'm in envy.
Yeah. I mean, it could be that some people have it and some people don't, but it also could just be a learning thing. Right. I'm not sure either way, but I was kind of put into music from a young age. So I was kind of brought up with it. Right. So I guess it comes naturally to me, you could say, but yeah, I still have to learn a bunch of things. Like I still don't understand everything about production, but I have been told I have a good ear. So.
Very cool, man. Very cool. So everybody's got the bit of a journey. You're still a young buck, but is this your first kind of real crack at the can at something, or what was your journey like leading up to getting into what you're doing? You said music's been a big thing of your life, growing up and stuff like that, but did you have a career before? Did you have something before? And like, how did you just decide, okay, you know what, this is my calling, this is what I want to do for a career?
Yeah, I kind of right out of high school, I started the music stuff, or like I've been doing music since I was probably 4 or 5 years old. I didn't really have a career before that. I had like a makeshift kind of lawn mowing company. I just mowed lawns in the area, but that was
I
like
did that too.
when I was like 17, right? So
Yeah.
so that's the only other real career I guess I had. But yeah, I started. So yeah, my parents put me into piano lessons when I was really young, and then as I joined school bands, I picked up new instruments. So at this point, I've got a lot of instruments that I can kind of play pretty well. Um, I currently play in a few bands. I played in the high school bands. I was just kind of the music guy. In high school, since it was actually COVID when I was in high school, so which doesn't seem that long ago, but it was 5 years ago. So
Yeah, totally.
yeah. So like, we weren't doing much of any regular school activities. So when I had the opportunity to use the school studio, I would record records for pretty terrible sounding records for the students at the school, the songwriters, if you will. So yeah, and then from there, I joined the Canadian Musicians Cooperative, which has helped me a lot uh, with just developing my company and my knowledge. They did a production program that was a one-time thing to train a few of us to run the recording studio that's in Barrie, Ontario. And so what they did there is they brought in this industry guy. His name's Doug Romano. He's a Canadian record producer from Toronto. He's also got a studio in Nashville. But he came in and taught the 8 of us. So we were kind of chosen out of, I think it was a few thousand people that applied for this program. So I was one of 8. So I'm pretty lucky to be part of that.
Congrats, man.
So it was a very intensive 1 year, basically university program, but it was all in person. It was all hands-on, actually doing the work, doing recording sessions with real people, learning hands-on. So that was probably the best education I could have asked for. And that really catapulted me into the industry from there.
That just makes me like, the first thing that comes to my mind is like, A, that's awesome. And B, most people go to school and they don't even do that for the rest of their life. It's like, imagine if especially if you know what you want to do, that certainly helps. But you go in hands-on, teach you the real deal, get in and get out 1 year. Bob's your uncle, you're ready to rock and roll, instead of going for 4 years and then being in this crazy amount of debt. And then you might not even do that anyway. It's so intense going to a 4-year university, even college. I mean, you certainly learn some certain skills along the way that are beneficial, but the way you did it, man, that sounds pretty appetizing.
Yeah. And I think like I said, I was pretty lucky to be a part of that. Like, not everybody gets that chance, but I'm also of the opinion that the school system isn't what it used to be. And I don't think university is as valuable as it used to be. So I talked to the other 7 guys who were part of that program. They were all older than me and they've all had their degrees. And they're like, I didn't even need to do that. I could have just done this course and I'd be fine,
Totally.
So, and also it was free. Like, I didn't have to pay for it. So
Even better.
yeah, the co-op is they do all kinds of programs for artists and producers and everybody in the music industry. It's a pretty great network of people.
Okay, 2-part question. One, what did you start playing instrument wise, and how many instruments do you play now?
Well,
and favorite instrument.
Okay. Well, I started with piano, as most music kids did. I had private lessons like every week for the first, 15 years of schooling. And then to put a number on how many I know now, it's hard to say, because I know maybe 5 of them pretty well. Like I could play most anything on them. But then I know a ton of other instruments that I've played them before, but I wouldn't say I would play a show playing that instrument,
Right.
So my favorite, well, I'll give you this. The one I'm best at would be bass guitar. And my favorite is probably saxophone.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
It sounds badass.
Man, I have to say, jazz music getting a little taste of that genre and how that's used. And then we went to the Arkells concert, and
Nice.
this lady with big thighs comes out and just rocks the shit out of the saxophone. And you're at a rock concert, and I'm like, I didn't even know that this could sound so good in this setting.
Yeah.
I'm in my ultimate happy place. Just what an instrument.
It's one of those instruments that you can kind of throw into any genre. Like it's kind of a feature instrument. Similar instruments would be like the violin, or like bagpipes, for example. It just gives it like it's its own sound. It gives it a certain vibe, So yeah, I like kind of being a feature instrument, but which is kind of contradictory to be a bassist as well, where you're not really ever featured, right?
Yeah.
So a bit of both worlds there.
That's cool. Hey, I mean, nothing wrong with getting your piece of cake and then eating it too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to be a front man though. It's not my style.
Yeah, if I was musically inclined, I'd totally be the front man. I love the limelight. Yeah, I'm an attention whore. It's ridiculous. So tell us, in your line of work, like, are there any myths, any misconceptions out there that you can maybe get a chance to clear the air on for some people?
Yeah, I mean, tons. But the music industry is vastly different from any other industry. For example, just in the producer space, a lot of people don't even understand what a producer does. They're just kind of like, why do I need a producer? A lot of them get confused with engineers, audio engineers. So the way I like to explain it is the producer is the creative side of the project and the engineer is the technical side. So if you think they're very often the same person, but the engineer role is the person pressing the button and pushing the faders and setting up the microphones and EQing everything. And the producer is telling the engineer what to do and why, right? It's understanding what's best for that specific song. It's not necessarily what's technically correct, but it's what's best for the vibe that they're going for. So that's one misconception I think people have, or just they don't know about it. A lot of people are kind of going independent, and if you're kind of a beginner, you can think you can do everything yourself. And some people can to a degree, but if you really want to get to the highest level, you need a team of people behind you. And if you have a producer and a manager and, a lawyer, you kind of need those things so that you can focus on what you're actually good at, right? So you're a great songwriter, for example, if you're an artist, right? Focus on writing the best songs you can and improving your voice and improving your live performance. Don't worry about learning how to mix your own stuff, and it's just a waste of time. Like if you focus on like 10 different things, you're going to be okay at 10 different things. But if you focus on one or two, you're going to be amazing at one or two. Right?
It's a great way to go about it. I mean, we follow some of the best marketers on the planet. One of them, his name is Alex Hormozy, and he says, whatever you do really well in your business, just niche down to that and do that.
Yeah.
Like the next 10 years, and you do that really well in 10x your business, then move on to the next thing, right? Yeah. A lot of times we get our hands caught in the cookie jar trying to do too much, and then that this is the one thing that actually moves the needle, and we're neglecting one thing. It's like, get good at that, 10x, move on, and then find the next thing, right?
I'm definitely guilty of that. Like I've tried to kind of be a producer that does all the genres, or I would call myself a producer and a mixer and a mastering engineer and a recording engineer and all of these things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I still need to niche down a little bit more, I think, but I'm getting better at it.
The riches. There you go.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm absolutely terrible at recording things. They're up there. It's just, how do they come out?
Yeah.
All right, man. So we go about our routines, our lives, our get into a career, start doing what we're doing. And when you're working for yourself, man, it's pretty sweet because you love it. You're so passionate about what you do for the most part. I think most people would agree with that. And so working doesn't really feel like work. It's business is kind of a part of who you are. If you're passionate about it, if you're passionate about something, you're going to enjoy doing it. So you can tend to work a little bit more and doesn't really affect you that much. But we do live this game of life, and there's balance is not the right word because nothing is ever equal, but there is a harmony to it, to put it into a music context. So, having a harmony and making sure that you're getting both doses of doing what you love what you're doing, but also do things outside of music and business and stuff like that. So when you're not working on or in your business, what does Wesley like to do for fun?
Yeah, I mean, most of my time is music. I do focus on my physical and mental health a lot, but I don't know if I'd call that for fun. It's more just, I want to be healthy and, fulfilled. So often what I do for fun is related to music. I play in bands or I go see shows. I don't really do much outside of my work. Maybe I should, but
I guess that's the cool thing about like the world of music and entertainment. Like it is a very large playground. A lot of people will say, yeah, my hobby is playing a band. That's a
yeah,
hobby. My hobby is I just really enjoy listening to this genre of music or all genres of music. And then you have bars and you have entertainment, you have all that kind of stuff that still falls within the umbrella of music
yeah,
in general. So I think it'd be this kind of rare situation where it's like, yeah, like I love it so much that I get to enjoy this area of it as well as doing it on a professional level.
yeah. I do play some sports. Like I'll play baseball in the summer, and I go to some pickup basketball games every so often. I do enjoy sports. Because my high school experience was basically washed by COVID, I didn't really play a lot of sports. I played in my senior year, and that was about it. And but I feel like I would have done sports more if I had more of a high school experience. But I also love to travel, so I one of my life goals is to travel to as many countries as I can.
Cool.
I say we've got this whole earth. Why not see it all, right?
It's a great way to look at it. Give me your top 3 that you got in mind.
Top 3. Well, I already went to Alberta, but I love the mountains and the lakes in the mountains,
Were you at Lake Louise?
Yeah, Lake Louise was cool. Definitely Europe. I'm not sure exactly where in Europe. Ireland would be cool. England, that kind of area. Um, I also just want to travel the States more because there's just a lot of stuff like, the Grand Canyon. I want to go to Nashville. I haven't actually been yet.
It's awesome down there.
Yeah, yeah. And as a music person, I'm like, this is well overdue. And New York City would be cool. I'm a city person, but I also like cabins in the woods,
Cool.
So
I've been to Nashville twice. I was there in September last year. We took a conference trip down there. You'll notice you go down there. It's like the cleanest city on the planet. It's like so clean.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
it looks brand new.
Interesting.
Very modern. And then all of the, if you do take a couple tours, we didn't get to this time when I went for my sister's CD release party. It was bomb. We got on a golf cart, went to the convenience store, bought a case of beer. I got to sit on the back and drink beer, and he drove us through like this neighborhood. And he's like,
Whoa.
there's Jason Aldean, there's Shania Twain. And he's just naming off all of these like superstar celebrities, and some of them that and they're just homes, but the homes are retrofitted on the inside to be full on recording studios, and that's where they go to record all their jams. So that was pretty cool. And then I highly recommend U21.
20.
So go after you're 21 or right when you hit 21.
Yeah.
It's a cool little thing. They give you a tour of the city, and you're around this like little bar, and you get to bring what you want on there. So whether they're Monster energy drinks or other things, adult pops, as they like to call them, since we're on a show, it's going to be published across the internet. So I don't get in trouble. And you're on like a bicycle. So you bike this thing around, and then the DJ plays music for you, and you can song request, and then they'll stop at a couple of different places along the way, but you get to see the city. You'll go straight down Broadway, which is the main strip, and then a lot of the famous country artists have their own bars, and they're tiered bars. So there'll be like 4 decks and a rooftop, and each floor is playing a different genre of music and different artists, and you can't hear the upstairs or the downstairs. It's completely silent. It's like a different experience all the way, and then you just kind of bar hop all the way
crazy.
up and down. It's so cool, man. Really cool city.
Yeah. I actually don't drink, but I mean, if I did, that'd be cool.
I mean, you could
very
have
often the
H2O.
designated driver, but I always say, why do you have to be drunk when you can act drunk?
Hey, there you go, right?
Yeah. People won't know the difference.
Yeah, it's a great experience. Put the drinks aside, but just to go out there and see the shops and what they have to offer.
Yeah.
The Hattie B's chicken is pretty sweet. If you're going down there, they have Nashville hot chicken. You can have it super hot. You can have it. I had it mild, and it was still pretty hot.
Yeah,
but pretty cool spot down there. So
right on. Yeah, I gotta go for sure.
Yeah, you have to go. I'm doing a little trip over for my honeymoon. We're going like a 2.5 week trip. So we're going down to Malta, which is just south of Italy, and then Sicily on the southeastern side, and then we're going over to Rome. We're gonna do like 2.5 week little tour.
Nice.
Get the taste. I've been to Rome once, but my fiance hasn't. So when you get over to Europe, you'll have a couple of unique surprises. So make sure that you get the right electronic adapter to plug in your cell phone charger. That was a mistake I made.
Yeah. I'm aware of that, but
and the washrooms are quite unique. So I'll let you experience that one for yourself.
Interesting. Good to know.
Just plant that seed.
All right. I'll leave it with that.
In life, we walk our path, right? Everybody picks their own path. We make choices. These choices lead us down our path. And for right or for wrong, life throws things at us. It's just kind of the way it goes. And so we experience challenges and hardships and, life events. We have to overcome these challenges, and we learn from these things. Sometimes they're things that are outside of our control, but, I've always been fascinated with human beings and our ability to be able to overcome some of these things. And for those things that, it'd be maybe overcoming it mentally, because when a tragedy happens, it's outside of our control. We can't control it. But trying to see the glass half full, maybe pull silver linings from it after we go through these hardships in life. If we can pull something away and learn from that, we can grow, we can develop, we can evolve. And we have to, right? It's life. Life keeps moving forward. We have to keep up with it. So I wanted to ask you if you've ever experienced a hardship, a life challenge. How did you overcome that? Maybe made you better, maybe it made you stronger, and were you able to pull some silver linings from it?
Yeah. Honestly, I haven't had too many major things go wrong in my life, but I mean, I'm really just starting, I suppose. The only thing that really comes to mind is overcoming distractions. So I'm one of the first generations to grow up in the age of technology, at the age of the internet, right? So I grew up with social media from, a young age, where most people before me didn't have that when they were kids, right? So the world's still kind of learning how to deal with that and how to regulate that. And I still think we're not there, but with that comes a distraction to getting things done, right? I have almost this addiction to social media where you're just, doom scrolling. I feel like a lot of people kind of have that nowadays. So just working on trying to avoid that is one of my main challenges, I would say, right now. It's also pretty easy to get distracted when, you don't have somebody telling you what to do all day, and it's kind of up to yourself to get yourself moving and get things done and get projects in on time. So I've put in some strategies and routines that help me stay focused and on task, but it's an ongoing challenge. Yeah.
It's really interesting to hear your perspective on it. I mean, you're very mature for your age. I can hear it and obviously I can see you because we're on video, but and how you're rationalizing those thoughts. But for me, like, I'm a decade older. I'm 35, so I grew up when the internet just hit or just after it hit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the bridge gap between before the internet. Everybody was playing road hockey, and
Yeah.
we were allowed to go out until the street lights turned on. And if we wanted to stay out after, it had to be at the green box right in front of the house so my parents could see me from the window. You had the honor system, no cell phone tracking, no cyberbullying. Still got bullied, just happened in my face. But it's a different era, right? So, knowing how I've lived through that and then learning as I've grown up with technology and social media and all of that stuff, how I've seen that with my own eyes, but never really occurred to me to put my thoughts into the younger generation. And just hearing you kind of explain that, like, spoke to me. You got to see it from a different perspective, because that's something outside of your control. You're born into it. You didn't get to really pick and choose. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it was out of my control that I was born into it and kind of grew up with it, but it's well within my control to avoid it and regulate it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But happy to hear you got those things set in place. And I mean, that's what it is at the end of the day. Is you have your goal, you have your things in life that you want to achieve, and if you just kind of let it walk all over you, it'll just do it to you. But putting things in place to make sure that you can hit your goals and get what you needed done, it's how you're going to advance yourself in life, and that's pretty awesome, though. So if you had one thing to pick, and only one thing, the last time I asked this question, this lady gave me like 7. Okay, so only
one thing. Okay.
One thing. Okay, if you had one thing to pick that you would want people to know about your business, what would that one thing be?
I would say that I'm on your side. If you're an artist and you're coming to me to work with a project, or I'm reaching out to you, it's because I want your project to do well. It's a lot of people will, the producer's just a money grab or something. It's not that. It's, I want to make your music as good as it can be. And as far as money goes, like, if your project doesn't do well and I do kind of a half-assed job, I'm not going to do well either financially, right? Or just from a reputation standpoint, like, the project isn't going to turn out well if I don't put in the work. So I am really on the artist's side, and everything I do is to ensure that the project turns out how they want it and what's best for them. So that's what I would leave.
Very well said, man. I'm sure there's going to definitely be some people that are interested in wanting to get to know you, peel back some of those layers, as you're a sharp, interesting young man, and maybe want to get to know a little bit more about the business itself. And so for those who are, what would be one of the best ways that they can go ahead and reach out?
Well, everything is on my website, gandthefew.com, gandthefew.com. All my social links are on there. I'm on basically everything. I'm most active on Instagram, gandthefew_records. I'm sure we can link that below or something. But yeah, Instagram is kind of where I'm most active. So yeah.
Very popular platform indeed. Well, listen, Wesley, thank you very much for coming on the show. It was awesome. Pleasure to get to know you. The honor is all mine. Super impressed with you, man. And I'm wishing you all the best of luck out there.
All right. Thanks, Sean. You as well.
No problem, man.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpwithjeffandsean.com. That's gnpwithjeffandsean.com, or call 705-413-3775.